What's up? Gonna do something a little different this time. See if I can get some feedback. I'm not someone who's, buried in YouTube subscribers, but even if you're watching this a while after the debut of the video, please comment with your answers. I'm looking for GameCube recommendations. So a majority of this video is going to show you what I have already and kind of give you my opinion so you can get a feel for what I'm looking for. So just going to pan across my collection slowly here, but go in a bit more detail after this, going through what are my least favorites, my medium tier, and then my favorite games, so you get an idea for what I like. A vast majority of my GameCube games are used. I picked up a lot of these games in the years since GameCube was relevant because I was in grad school at the time GameCube was relevant and on the market, and I really only had time to play a few games from the console in its initial sales lifespan. Right now, none of these games are particular favorites or non-favorites. It's almost a random pile, and I'm going to get into more detail. These 4 games I'm not going to really rank because I haven't played them yet. These are games I've picked up in the past year, roughly, and I'm pretty sure I'll like them to some degree or not. I know that they're at least well-reviewed in, I think, most cases there. So getting on to the games I don't like that I have are my lesser favorites. Splinter Cell is probably the one I like the most out of this, but the controls are just dated and I didn't play it in its time. Same with Hitman, I didn't play it in its time, so Hitman 2, it just feels dated, it doesn't control particularly well. I don't even remember Medal of Honor. True Crime and Freedom Fighters, just very dated. So here we are moving into games that are in the middle tier of the games that I own for the system, and I like these games overall. They're just not the topmost tier of my favorites. I mean, Donkey Kong, it's just funny. Had a lot of good times. And Enter the Matrix, I'm a huge Matrix fan, the whole series. And Resident Evil, of course, I like it a lot. It's just not my favorite Resident Evil in the series. Ikaruga is really up my alley, but it's very, very difficult, and I've never mastered it. Beautiful Joe 2, I just like 1 better. Luigi's Mansion, I like okay. I need to replay that game sometime. I haven't even played 3 yet. So those are just middle tier games in my collection. Now moving on to the big kind of overview of the games I like the best in the system, and I'm going to narrow it down in a second. But these are my top tier games I like the best on my system, and it's kind of a mix of the style of games. I do notice that a lot of them are kind of 3D games, which aren't my favorite overall in general in video gaming, since I'm such a retro fan, but it just so happens that these are the games on GameCube, that there are many games that are in a 3D environment, and these are the ones I like the best. There are obvious exceptions here. I'm a big arcade game. I love upright arcade video games, grew up playing them, so those collections are just crack to me. And Jungle Beat, love it. It's such a funny, creative game, and some of these are going to make it into my final top one, so I'm going to kind of hold back here and say a little bit more about them when we narrow it down. Beautiful Joe, I really, really do like a lot. That game is amazing and very creative. If no one's played it that's watching this. Resident Evil 4, of course, it's a legend. Everybody knows that. Chibi Robo is super Japanese and super hilarious. Metroid Prime 1 is the best Prime game I've played. Pikmin 2 is probably my favorite Pikmin, and I do really need to play Pikmin 2 again. Now here are I narrowed it down to my top 8. That's as far as I'm going to really go with it. I don't think I can narrow it down to my favorite. Pikmin 2 and Killer 7, one of the most amazing artistic games. Killer 7 hasn't aged particularly well, but highly recommend. It's very demented. I've been talking a lot about F-Zero GX and how much I was amazed by how much I love it on my Twitter lately. Eternal Darkness, one of the truly original games you'll always hear people mention, along with Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. It is an amazing platformer, and yes, you play with bongos. The Midway Treasure Classics, hey, not everyone's going to agree with me that those are top picks, but I love arcade games. Paper Mario, everyone knows it's one of the best. So now, a couple things before you leave me your comments or recommendations. I'm going to go through a couple things just to get them out of the way so you don't have to waste your time recommending things either I've played already or things that I'm not particularly interested in. So Metal Gear Solid Twin Stakes. I bought it before the price skyrocketed. I played it. I didn't totally love it as much as I was supposed to. It was cool and interesting, but I sold it and got a good amount of money back for it. And it's only a little more valuable now anyway. Zelda Wind Waker. I did own it, I loved it, and when the HD collection came out, I sold it because I don't need it. I do not like Twilight Princess at all. Come at me, bro, I've tried several times both HD and regular. And Double Dash, I've never played it, so I'm planning on getting it obviously sometime. I love Mario Kart like any good Nintendo fanboys, so you don't need to recommend it. Echoes is really high in the list of things I want to play. I did not like Metroid Prime 3 at all, and I really liked 1, and I've heard 2 kind of splits the difference, and it's harder, and I think I could really go for that. So it's definitely going to be something I grab at some point in the future. And finally, of course, I'm going to play Melee someday. I never have. I'm actually a total casual scum who got into Smash Brothers on the Wii, and I've played them all since then, but I never went back to Melee. I've played 64, but I've never played Melee, sort of saving it for someday. And before anyone says it, no RPGs, please. Adventure does not await in that direction for me. I find Japanese RPGs intolerable. They're just boring to me, grinding, and it's not my thing. So don't recommend those. I appreciate it. So that's what I'm looking for. If even if you're watching this years down the road, you can always feel free to drop a comment and ask me if I've played something, or if, especially obscure recommendations, especially personal favorites. I'm open to ideas, but now you know what I like, and I welcome recommendations for what I should add to my collection. Thanks.